Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Item 1, resumption of debate on the motion of thanks.
Mr. Lim Biow Chuan.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise in support of the motion. Over the past 53 years, Singapore has done well as a nation. We are one of the most successful countries in the world with a high GDP per capita. We are known to be non-corrupt, transparent, and efficient. And whenever I travel overseas, many foreigners that I speak to compliment Singapore, and they hold us in high regard. Singaporeans are known to be hardworking, dedicated, and trustworthy. It is a good reputation to have and something that all Singaporeans should be proud of. But yet, sometimes, when I speak to Singaporeans, I do not sense the same level of pride of being a Singaporean. Some of them are concerned about the future of our nation, being small and without resources. Some worry that the growth opportunities which my generation had may not be available to the future generations. And some are critical of the government, even though they know that Singapore is well run. The frequent criticism is that the government is well-intended, but unwilling to listen to other views or too defensive. For those concerned about our future, the 4G leaders must demonstrate that they have the ability to lead the nation. They must provide a vision for Singapore and give assurance that Singaporeans' future remain bright. My experience with the 4G leaders that I work with is that they are genuine and sincere about wanting to serve the people. They want to do their best to improve the lives of Singaporeans. However, governing is a complicating process, and no government, no matter how well-intended, is perfect. As the 4G leadership team leads Singapore to the future, I hope they can improve on the way that we engage our citizens. I hope they will be more consultative in the policies and approach. I hope they can be a more receptive and kinder government when dealing with people of differing views. At the same time, I hope that Singaporeans too will rally behind and support a sincere and honest government. Because no matter how good our policies, a divided nation will always fail. As citizens, we can all be part of a solution by working together for a common purpose of making Singapore a better home for all of us. Politics is a contest of ideas. With better explanations, Singaporeans will be able to discern what are good policies, beneficial for our people and for the nation. But we need to work hard to explain our policies, to earn the respect of those who may not agree or understand the policies. Our leaders must also learn to trust that Singaporeans are mature and know what is good for them. I feel that there are several challenges facing Singapore for the future. One of the challenges is to ensure that the economy continues growing and Singaporeans continue to have access to good jobs. The reality is that our competition is the rest of the world. Painful as it may sound, getting a good job is not an entitlement for any of us. Each of us must find a way to provide better value to our potential employer. And when I read of the high unemployment rates in some of the more developed countries, I'm glad that Singapore is still able to manage its unemployment figures. But we should never assume that full employment is our entitlement and will stay with us in Singapore. Another challenge is to manage rising costs. Although I understand the explanation, the rationale given, why water must be priced correctly, why parking charges must be adjusted. I understand the rationale why GST must be increased in a few years' time to provide for better healthcare. But yet, when you add together all the increase in costs, this increase in cost of living will cast a financial burden on our citizens. Singaporeans hope for a better life for the future. Increase in cost of living will reduce their disposable income. It will affect their aspirations for a better life. The government must keep a close step on the increases in living expenses, whether it is for water, whether it is for transport fares, medical costs or food costs. We must be mindful that whatever the reason for these increases, when taken together, they will adversely affect the livelihood of our citizens, especially those of the lower income. Next, to strengthen our sense of nationhood amongst our citizens, I hope that this government will review the policy of tagging budgetary benefits to household types. In my constituency, I have many residents who either live in private homes or bigger HDB flats which were purchased when they were younger, working and economically better off. However, today many are retired with no income. Some are unable to find similar paying jobs due to their age. Some are also middle income. And the frustration is that they always get left behind whenever benefits are announced in the annual budget. It is essentially a non-event for them because the SG bonus, GST vouchers, or the S&C rebates or utility rebates are usually not for them. They feel that the government has little appreciation for residents living in better homes despite their past years of contribution to nation building when they were working. I'm not suggesting simply giving handouts for them. It's about better appreciating those who had contributed to Singapore during their working years, those who had paid income taxes, who had served the nation in different capacity. The Pioneer Generation package was appreciated by many Singaporeans because the Pioneer Generation felt appreciated by the government. So I urge the government to adopt policies which signals to our citizens that they are appreciated for their contribution to nation building. And this will give them a sense that they are Singaporeans too, whenever the budget is announced, instead of it being a non-event. To better help our less fortunate, I hope that this government will also review its policy of tagging CHAS benefits to the household income of the individual. I've come across residents who lose their blue CHAS card status because they worked harder and they were given a small pay raise. Thus, for the $100 extra monthly income, they lose the medical benefits tagged to the blue CHAS card. They then end up paying more for medical care. It does not make sense why the CHAS system penalizes someone for working harder and earning more. A graduated system may be fairer for those who really need the CHAS benefits. There are many other policies which can be improved upon, but it doesn't mean that the policies are wrong. However, with minor adjustments, we can make the policies better and create a more positive impact on our citizens. My appeal to the government leaders is to always be open to suggestions for improvements, for our civil servants to adopt a framework of asking, how can I do this better? Mr. Speaker, I'm confident that our current leaders have the ability to plan for the future of Singapore. However, I wish to sound a word of caution that Singapore should not be seen as a company where everything is simply transactional. We are a nation and a home that all Singaporeans can be proud of. So I urge the government to develop policies which will strengthen our nation's core values, to inculcate in our citizens the importance of values like meritocracy, self-reliance, incorruptibility, diligence, honesty, humility and loyalty to the nation as we all continue writing the Singapore story. I support the motion.